Okay, so good morning everybody, and let's continue our discussion. So today let us take one more problem. Okay, so we have seen how to solve a word count problem in our previous example, right? Now let's try to pick up some other problem, and let's try to understand how can you even solve it out. Okay, so today I'll just give you an idea about a problem statement. Okay, and you try to think about it, how exactly can be solved. I'll tell you how what would be the steps, and you guys try your best to solve it on your own, and then we will talk about the solutions also in the next class. Now suppose the requirement is I have a file, okay, with which contains some numbers. Let's say only numbers, right? So let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, and let's say I have another file which contains a few numbers more. Let's say 7 8 9 2 10 11 14 17 19 30. Okay, and now my requirement is very simple. What I want to do is I want to find out row wise let's say highest number. Okay, so this is my file. Like I'll say file1.txt, and I'll say file2.txt, and let us assume these files are small. Okay, they are not TBs of files, but let's assume these files are small, but there would be so many n number of files. And what is our requirement? Our requirement is find out row wise highest number, right? And the requirement is very simple. You may have n number of files tomorrow, okay, but there is a guarantee that none of this file will consume more than 128 MB. Let's say all the files are under the size of 100 MB. Okay, all these files are under the size of 100 MB, but you have a millions of files. Okay, and the number of lines are not constant here, right? So the number of lines could be more. The number of lines could be more. Okay, so in this example, the first file has 3 lines, 3 rows. The second file has 4 rows, right? 3 rows and 4 rows. Now, what is the objective of this? The objective is very simple. I want to find out row wise highest number, right? Now we'll have to start thinking, how do we solve this problem, right? Think about it. How do we solve this problem? Right now we know only word count, right? But we have to solve this problem. So let me tell you what exactly needs to be written in your mapper, what exactly needs to be written on your reducer, and let us try to solve it as an assignment, right? So this file will be broken down into only one part. This file will also be broken down into only one part, because as I have given you a constant that all the files will be under the size of 100 MB, right? So they would never be split into 2 parts. Fair enough. So B1 and B2 is what you are going to get out of this, right? So you have 2 files, B1 and B2, right? And they are basically divided into blocks, and they become B1 and B2. Now what we will do is we'll have to write our mapper, right? And we know in mapper we have a method called map, where I'll get key, I'll get value, and I'll get context object, right? Key, value, and context. Now what would be my key? My key would be offset, right? So this file would be converted into key value pair. Let's say 0 is the key, and 1 2 3 4 characters, 5 6 7 /8 8. Okay, again 5 6 7 3 characters, 3 4 5 6, right? 6 plus 8 is 14, likewise, right? And that is what you are going to get here. That is what you are going to get here under your key. Value, you'll get all this rows one by one, right? Values, you'll get all these rows one by one. Now what should you do with this value is you'll get this value, and I'll say v.toString. because this is of text type. This value is of text type. So you'll say v.toString, and what are you going to get out of it? You're going to get a string. So I'll say string line, right? Now you got a string here, okay? And what you'll do is you'll have to identify which row is this, right? So for that, what you can do in your mapper class, define a variable called row equal to 0, okay? Integer row equal to 0. And every time your map method runs, right, because you know that this map method will be executed one by one, right? So this map method would be called multiple times by your framework automatically. So what you should do here is, whenever you are inside this map method, you will say row plus plus, right? Which means the value of row would be incremented every time, right? So from here you will be able to identify that this is your row 1 data, right? And what you will do is you will say context, this context dot write, okay? Context dot write. What are you supposed to write here? You're supposed to write row number. So you'll say row and row, okay? This would be the key, this would be a key. Or you can even you don't even have to write all this. So what you can do is you can just write the value of row, okay, the value of row, and you will write this entire line, okay? So see, what I'm trying to tell you here is, when you are running this, when you are executing this file, initially the row value equal to 0, and we all know that this map method will be iterated multiple times. For the first time, this line will hold 1 2 3 4, okay, and row value would become 1, okay, row value would become 1. And you are saying context.write row, row is actually integer, so you should basically say new int writable, right, int writable of row, right? So you are basically writing 1, okay, and you're writing entire value. So 1 2 3 4 is entire value. This is what you are supposed to do for your line number 1, right? Now similarly, for then what happens, once this line number 1 is executed, your map method would be again called, but this time it would be called for line number 2. And when it is called for line number 2, your row value has become 1 by our previous increment, right? So row value has become 1 by our previous increment, and then it will now point to, this line will point to 5 6 7. This will point to 5 6 7, right? And row value would become 2, row would become 2, right? So when your row becomes 2, then again you are saying context.write, this time you are going to send 2, this time you are going to send 2, and you will be sending 5 6 7, right? So what is the output you are going to generate from this file? What is the output you are going to generate from this file is, for this you are going to generate 1 and 1 2 3 4, okay? For this you are going to send 2 5 6 7, right? For this row you are going to send 3 8 9 10, right? This is how you are going to send your data as key value pair. This is your key, this is your key, and this is your value, okay? And this value is basically just a string. They are just a string, done, right? They are just a string. So you're just sending all this data to your reducer, right? Ultimately to your reducer. Now similarly, we are going to do the same thing for this file too. So for this file too, you are going to send 1 for this line, right? Because I've already told you that for each file 1 block, and for each block 1 map object. So this will be executed parallelly, this will be executed parallelly, right? So when we are running our program on this file 2.txt, then it will be again starting from 1, right? So this logic will be executed again from the beginning. So when they are converted into key value pair, this would again start with 0. This will start with 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, we'll say 8, 9 10, say 10, 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18, say 18, likewise, right? So this file 2 would again get started like this. So this file 2 would be processed and the mapper would start from the beginning for this file. Again, if you have third file, a new object, right? And the mapper would again start processing that. So yeah, so now for this 7890, what you'll get is 17892. Okay, for this 10 you'll get 2 10. For this 11 14 you'll get 3 11 14 17 19, and this 30 is like this. So this is how you are going to get a key value pair for the second file also. Okay, now once you have got this key value pair, what happens, guys? This is key and value pair from your mapper. It's not, these are the key value pairs from your mapper, and once you're done, this data would be shuffled, this data would be collected together, shuffle and sort. This data would be brought together and they would be sorted based on the key, the ascending order of the key. So after shuffling, what will happen? This data would be mixed together, right? This data would be mixed together, and once this data is mixed together, what you will have is, you'll have group by, you'll have sort, right? Shuffle and sort. So after shuffling, this is shuffling phase. Okay, this is shuffling phase. So I'll say shuffle. After shuffling, it will be sorted, right? So in sort phase, all this data would be sorted by key. So I'll say 1. I'll write little small, 1 2 3 4. Again, I'll get another one. 7 8 9 2. Is there any more one? No. If you have many more ones, then those 1 will also come. Then 2, and you'll say 5 6 7. Again, any 2? Yes. 10. Again, any 2? No. Now 3 8 9 10. Okay, and 3 11 14 17 19. This one. Again, any more 3? No. 4 1 4, and that's 30. Right? So this is what we are going to get after your sort phase. Right? These are keys and the others are values. So shuffle happened, sort happened. What after that? What will happen? Group by. This data would be grouped now. So that once you group this, once the group by happens, what happens is, you get one group out of it, you get one group out of it, one group out of it, and one group out of it. So you'll have a group like this. 1 is the group ID, and inside that you will have 1 2 3 4 7 8 9 2, right? So one group, and these are the values. Okay, now if you are getting confusion here, think about word count example. In our word count, our mapper used to emit apple 1 apple 1 apple 1 apple 1, right? Now those were all collected together from various different places, right? And at the end of the day, I get a lot of apple 1, a lot of ball 1, a lot of cat 1, and so on. And then we used to group them. When you used to group, what you used to get? You used to get apple, then in the bracket you used to get 1 1 1 1 1 1, right? Similarly, you'll get this, consider this as an apple, so 1 as a key, and all these are 1 1 1 1 1 in that place, right? So here it will remain 1 2 3 4 7 8 9 0 9 2. Okay, next, now similarly another group would be 2, and it will also have an array where you will have 5 6 7, okay, and 10, right? So this is one value and this is another value. Okay, now similarly I have 3 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 17, 19. Okay, and then you have 4, 30. This is what you are going to get. This is what you are going to get after completing your group by, right? So the data is grouped and you have got 4 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, done. Now this data will come to your reducer. This data will come to your reducer. Now we'll have to write our reducer code to solve this problem, right? So let me just erase a little bit here so that we can create some space for our reducer job, right? So we have the data group here. This is our group data. Now this will go to your reducer, right? So this will go to your reducer. Now in your reducer, what are you supposed to do? In reducer, you'll get key. In reducer, you'll have reduce method, right? And you'll get key, you'll get value, and you'll get context object, right? You'll get key, value, and context object. Now this key would be basically 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So for the first time, key would be 1. Okay, value would be iterable, of course, of text. Okay, these are strings here. I have not sent them as a number. I've just sent them as a string. Okay, so these are the iterable of string. Right, now you have to iterate through this string, not string, I would say text, right? So whenever I say string, you have to assume that it is text. Okay, so you'll have to say for line of iterable, right? And what you'll get is you'll get the data line by line here. You'll get the data line by line here. So you'll get, for the first time, the value of line would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And what was the objective? Row wise highest number. And currently I'm basically processing row number 1, right? Currently I'm processing row number 1, and in this iterable I have collection of all the rows from all the files, right? So what I'll do is I will maintain a variable called highest, right? So say int high equal to 0 or something. Okay, int high equal to 0 or something. Now I'll start splitting this data, right? So into an array. So you'll just say line dot split, and you'll get them into an array, right? Now I will start using another loop because I have to iterate through this loop. That's how you'll have to do, right? That's how you'll have to do. So you'll iterate through this loop 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you'll try to check which one is the highest. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And whatever highest number you encounter, you will store it in this high. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is, when you are processing this data, when you're processing this data and this data, right, for the first time, this value iterable will hold 1, 2, 3, 4 for 1, right? And then by the end of this inner loop, you will have the highest value as 4, right? You will say till now line number 1 has given me a highest value of 4, and that is the highest value for me. Okay, next, then your this for loop, outer for loop, will iterate for the next row, right? And now again you'll get this data 7, 8, 9, 2 here in this iterable line. You'll split them by space, and then you'll get an array, and now you'll iterate through this array. Okay, and you try to compare each of these values with whatever highest value you have stored so far. So far I had stored a highest value equal to 4. Now I'll say 4 and 7, which one is greater? 7. Okay, now I'll say highest is 7. Again 8 and 7, which one is greater? 8. 8 and 9, which one is greater? 9. 9 and 2, which one is greater? 9. Right? So at the end of this loop, you will say you'll get the highest value equal to 9, right? And that is what you have to send it back. So you'll say context.write. Okay, you'll say context.write, and you will pass key because row value is 1, and you will pass new int writable of high. the highest value whatever you have scored, the highest value whatever you have scored, right? So that is what you have to do. So this is context dot, this is context dot write, and key and value is high, whatever we have scored, right? Whatever we have stored so far. And this how you are basically going to process your data. Okay, so it is very important, guys, to understand a given problem statement and understand how should I solve this problem using a map reduce code, map reduce technique. Okay, and trust me, I sometimes ask this question in the interview, and to be very honest, people write a lot of things in their resume, but they are not even able to solve the problem. How can we even hire people who cannot solve this problem, and how do you expect them to solve a complicated queries, right? Because most of us feel that okay, big data is just like Hive or SQL query. No, you'll be given some tasks to process the data, right? So you'll have to make sure that whenever somebody gives you a requirement, you should have that capability to think, what should I write in mapper, what should I write in reducer, so that my work is done. Okay, so this is what you are going to implement. This is how you have to implement this program and get these things done. Okay, so I have already given you the code snippet. I've already given you a little bit of code snippet and idea, and I want you guys to try it on your own, right? I want you guys to try it on your own and come to a conclusion. Let's see how many of us are able to solve this problem. Okay, this is what we would like to see in your next class.